Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone, and thank you for being interested to stay at this hour for my presentation. I'm going to outline my study, which I've done in my PhD, on ascending to sustainable entrepreneurship. And I have been, just a little bit background about me, I have been in the academia, but I decided to shift to the industry. Now I am actually working in a bank. And however, it is in the same line. I'm the head of learning and development in Bank Dhofar. Therefore, I consider that I am a bit, quasi-academic and industry. So today I'm going to discuss about my study, which is a confirmatory analysis on the sustainability here in Oman. And I'm going to give you a bit of figures to start with. So shall we? Background and motivation. So if you know that Oman is actually a signatory for the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. And if we are looking at sustainability and its potential, in fact, in Hadith and Sunnah, it is part of and parcel of Al-Amru bil-Ma'ruf wa-Nahi an al-Munkar. So it is actually embedded in the maqasid of Sharia. Therefore, it is something that we believe in, and it is embedded in our belief system and also the cultural system. In terms of sustainability and its potential, the job creation level with sustainability is quite high. However, if you compare it to the international and global market, the MENA is a very small percentage. When it comes to business generation as well, MENA is also a very small percentage. Now, if you are thinking about the outlook of sustainability, entrepreneurship here in the MENA regions, MENA being the Middle East and North Africa, we have a potential of 637 billion of job creations and, of course, business generation. I'm going to show you in the next few slides what do I mean by this. So 51% is of high income developing countries in which SMEs are actually contributing in it. And when it comes to global employment, as well, SMEs are contributing to 95% of employment. And when it comes to private employment, SMEs are contributing to 60% of employment. And when you see the other figures in blue, it's actually for the other sectors, which is government, other private sectors, and so forth. But SMEs are a reckoning. If they are provided with tools and innovation methodologies, they can really bring in something to the table. And let me just say about a study done in MENA, in which they have actually consolidated what's happening in the MENA region and why we are not ascending to that level. We are trapped into something called survival entrepreneurship, meaning we go outside, we see a nice idea, we come back to our country, and we just adopt what we have seen. So that customization level and innovation doesn't happen in here, in our region. And we need to really think in a different way right now, because we do have a lot of talent in the region, but it is untapped. The untapped potential is affecting us because the innovators are not celebrated at the regions. So what we are seeing here is some hard rock evidence that sustainability companies actually perform better than the non-sustainable one. And I'm going to explain a little bit about sustainability because there is a lot of vagueness. What is sustainable? What is exactly I need to do as an SME? Why is Dr. Fatin mentioning this all the time? Because I consider sustainability as part of parcel of my identity. And I'll let you know a little bit of my background so I can convince you as well of what is sustainability. So this is a study that is done by Bonini and Swartz. Says that in 1993, a sustainability-driven company outweighed a non-sustainability-driven company by $7.6. So you can see in here the red being the non-sustainability company, and the blue being the sustainable company. So if you see here over the years, the sustainability-driven company outperformed the non-sustainability one, meaning that there is high income generated from sustainable practices. High sustainability companies did better with respect to return on assets. If you are thinking about financial performance, there are two indicators in the industry that we always look on. ROA, return on assets, and ROE, return on equity. So if we are comparing between the two, you'll notice that sustainability actually is profitable. But, the critique always say, when do we reap those profitability indicators? Because the issue with sustainability is when you have, if you are going to measure it in 1 year time, you will not see the benefit. Sustainability works in the long term. You have to be patient. If you are only taking 1 whole year to analyze it, I'm afraid it doesn't work like this. You have to be patient for 2 to 3 to 5 years. Therefore, the annual financial statements are not enough for you to look at it from this angle. And it is really important for us to understand where are we at the moment. If you see at the SDG indicator, we have an index in SDG. Out of the 10 outstanding performing countries in SDG is not even one Arab or Muslim country. Not even one. All of them are European and other countries that are doing very well in this. And as you have seen, we are trapped in survival entrepreneurship. If we are not innovative and if we are not performing and integrating sustainable practices, this might really affect us in the long term. So why Oman? This is my study and concentrating on what's happening because I'm linking unemployment level and I'm linking as well productivity and competitiveness. So increasingly recognize the country's sustainability matters. As I said, we already signed as a SDG. Therefore, we already pledged that we are SDG driven. And actually, most of our youngsters know something about istidama all the time, but they don't know what is the definition of istidama. So therefore, we have to go back to the basics. MSMEs in Oman declined by 31% year on year in the first quarter of 2017. Very alarming statistics. We have to look, why is this happening? Unemployment increased by 11% by the year of July 2017. Alarming statistics as well. And you probably know that these indicators are getting better now, but we need to really push the envelope and do much better to improve the job seekers' level of getting a good, appropriate employment. Oman MSMEs are not adequately contributing to the national GDP. This is where you can actually turn the table when you are contributing in the national GDP. And if you see in the previous statistics of other developing countries, you will know that actually MSMEs contribute highly to the GDP. In fact, in Malaysia in 1997, when they had a financial crisis, it is the MSMEs that driven the economy of this country before it was announced bankrupt or whatever negative financial indicators that they could have been facing if it's not for the MSMEs. Therefore, and of course, it is actually going hand in hand with our Tanfeed, the diversification plan. And of course, we have the Oman vision of 2040. So all the indicators say that this is the right direction. And in fact, if you know, I think a month ago, I contributed in the Oman Sustainable Week, in which I have seen a lot of youngsters who are talking about very innovative ideas of how they can implement sustainability. Very innovative. I'm proud of our youth. I think this is something that Oman has among the other countries neighboring and also in the MENA regions. So we have a beautiful talent in Oman. We have beautiful resources in Oman as well. We do have the focus of our country. If you see about I have mentioned about the Oman Vision 2040, but then we have our lovely innovators. And if I would like to discuss some of the ideas that I have checked in the Oman Sustainability Week, some of them were discussed about organic pesticides. I never heard of that before. Very amazing. Some of them mentioned about really making their communities productive with the use of organic saffron, for instance. So these are very innovative ideas that I never heard of before. It is indeed something that we look for. And not to mention that in Oman, we actually have dedicated a whole day, 8th of January, in which it's an environmental day. So what seems to be issue? Because it seems that we have everything right in terms of ingredients. We have the direction, we have the understanding, we have the days, and we have the focus of the government. But there is a gap. There is a gap in linking the sustainable entrepreneurship to financial performance. They say if you actually focus on sustainability practices, it doesn't work in the long term. And in this paper, I argue that the same is inaccurate. So there is a gap. And I have done 3 objectives in my research to negotiate this. First of all, are we ready for sustainability? This is objective number 1. Second of all, to examine impact of sustainable business practices in MSMEs in financial performance, because I'm linking it to financial performance. Sometimes people say, why I'm doing this? It should be, reaping me profits. So in my research, I proved that, in fact, it does reap you profit. All you have to do is patience, and don't look at those annual plans for 1 whole year. Look at them in the long-term perspective, so probably 2 to 3 years. And finally, to examine whether the impact of sustainable business practices on MSMEs' financial performance is mediated by productivity, competitiveness, and I also added size and education. I know I'm taking up much time, but Malak, you can just tell me, okay? So in here, I have identified these particular pillars into competitiveness, what is competitiveness, and what is productivity. Due to the lack of time, I'll just leave you with these definitions, and I move forward with what we have done. So this is a stakeholder engagement exercise we have done. I'm really thankful for the Oman Center of Sustainability and Governance. They have really provided me a lot of platform to discuss these ideas in the stakeholder analysis session that I have done, specifically to name Syed Hamid al-Busaidi. He's the one who made this happen. With his support, we were able to bring the stakeholders from different industries, including oil and gas, education, banking. So I was able to take these and provide them with this methodology, very rigorous methodology in which I had the stakeholder, the meet, and then I had a pre-test for my model, and then I had a pilot test for my model, and then I exercised the model in the field, in which I have taken most of these particular indicators and worked them on to ensure that my financial model mathematically is proven. Now, these are the indicators that I have taken. When you are evidencing sustainability, you have to take into consideration different reporting bodies. GRI is one of them, the Global Reporting Initiative. The second is SASB, the standard for the industry. And of course, we have the IRR, the integrated framework. However, I have taken the B Corp indicators. This is a third-party indicators in which I have analyzed around 1,000 indicators to ensure that our MSMEs are actually doing wonderful when it comes to their integration on sustainability practices. So this is only a reference on the methodology. Now, these are the consolidated data that I have on the research that I have gone through. So in terms of gender, these are the numbers that I have collected. Mostly, if you see, the MSMEs are concentrated. This tells you where are we in Oman with reference to MSMEs. We are male-dominated, first of all, in MSMEs. Second, when it comes to the MSME sector, we are more micro. Third of all, we are very service. These are the sector, the population, and the sector size, we are micro. In fact, in Oman, we have something called the momentum effect. Momentum effect, once you are in the medium, you don't stay in the medium. You become corporate. So this is how much push from the government in terms of support for you. So I really actually salute the government for these particular support systems that they provide to the medium-level enterprises. So what about the findings? Now, my model is quite very straightforward. It just tests the appetite. The appetite, if there is any survey respondents who responds 5 and above, meaning our MSMEs are ready. In this particular study, the results suggest that all MSMEs in Oman are ready for sustainability. So it is not something foreign, not something hard to achieve. It is actually achievable and doable. So we are ready to incorporate sustainability. Next is sustainable business practices on financial performance. Unfortunately, and this is where I did not publish my research, we are, with reference to sustainability, it has 3 pillars. One of them is social, second is environmental, and the third is economic. In social, we are positive and significant. In economic, we are positive and significant. However, I have to inform you that Omanization level, I actually had to drop in this variable. So this is something that we have to improve for MSMEs. Where it is a little bit as a researcher, I was a bit disappointed is the environmental practices. Now, I have to remind you that in 2020, this research I have done. Therefore, the government has done a lot of steps to improve on the environmental practices. And alhamdulillah, with istidama and sustainability, and you hear this all the time, hopefully we can embed this further as we go forward. So this is non-significant, so I had to drop it. And to be honest with you, if you look at the situation right now, you would agree with me that we need to actually focus more into the environmental sustainability aspect. So moving forward, I did also ask the question on the mediation variable on the productivity and competitiveness. Does sustainability make you more competitive, or does it make you more productive? So the same results suggest it's the same, it is identical. With productivity, yes, we are significant from a social point of view and an economic point of view, but not environmental. So meaning, what does this mean? I am an MSME, and I do have a small restaurant. If I decided to go eco-packaging, I do not think, this is what this deliverable means. I do not think if I do the eco-packaging that I will be more competitive or I will be more productive, which is not a good way to think. So we need to improve on this. Second is, does education matter? If I was educated, because remember, I collected data, and the data suggests that some of the MSMEs are educated. So in here, it says only for financial performance, it is significant for the social, significant for the economic, but even the highly educated people don't think that an environmental dimension helps them in their business. Again, with the size, does it differ if you are medium? Again, the results show the same indicators. So all in all, these are my discussion points. On the environment, we really need to have to improve on this. What are the policy recommendations? And I apologize, Malak, I know that I have taken much of my time, but then this is important because this is where the government comes in, and I'm very happy. I'm one of those enthusiastic people. When the government have banned plastic in 2021, remember when they banned plastic and you went to Carrefour and you took the bottles and, I was the only one who's happy about that, because it doesn't happen unless we do it from a regulatory perspective. Otherwise, you really don't know how much blessing you are in and how much you are taking this environment for granted. Oman is a beautiful country, and we have to sustain it. Education and awareness campaigns, incentivizing sustainability practices, tax cuts and subsidies, which can happen if we provide an opportunity for MSMEs. If you do eco-packaging, I'll give you a tax cut. If we tell to MSMEs, if you put a solar panel, we'll give you a tax cut. And if you think this is unachievable, I would disagree with you. I went with my family in the winter for a desert camp. The whole tent was solar panel generated, beautiful system. We didn't even know how to switch on the lights because the lights switched on themselves. And I'm talking about the desert, in the middle of the desert, beautiful winter night, nothing, no electricity except beautiful serenity, which could have happened with only sustainability. So can happen. I hope that the power of can is infectious. So thank you so much for your listening, and I hope that you benefited from the session.